Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Live Dive. Before I dive into the scripture that we have for you tonight, I want to make a couple of quick announcements. One is that this Saturday, again, a reminder, this Saturday is when we'll be having a get-together. We'll meet on the church campus, and then we'll go from there to a restaurant to eat and to hang out a little bit, and then we will come back and we will be watching a movie here on campus. More than likely, we'll probably be watching a Star Wars movie, so you don't want to miss that, so be sure to come out for that. After this live dive video ends, I will be posting on Twitter and Facebook asking you if you can to let me know who's coming, who's not. That way I can get some hard numbers. Also, this Sunday for Sunday school, same time, same place, in the gym mezzanine at 10 a.m., we'll be having a special guest. Our senior pastor at First Free Will Baptist of Tampa, Will Beauchamp, will be coming, and he'll be sitting down with us, kind of picking our brains and really to talk to us about some big things that are coming up for you guys. So be sure to come with some questions and be ready to discuss. We'll be devoting most of Sunday school to that. Also, Sunday night, we will be having our monthly youth night where we take over the entire service, and that includes you guys. I know there were some questions about that earlier this week. So if you're interested in singing, if you can help us out with being an usher collecting offering, we especially need a guy to be up there leading singing at the beginning of service, please let me know. We would love to have you involved. So as you know, really most of the month of September, really the whole month of September, has been talking about women of faith. And for most of the month, we've been talking about Ruth. But today I want to talk about Hannah and the idea of when God makes you wait. And the reason why we talk about Hannah with this topic is because Hannah had to wait for something that was very tough to wait for. She was waiting for the chance to be able to have a child. The story of Hannah starts in the first chapter of 1 Samuel. A man by the name of Elkanah had two wives. One was named Peninnah, and the other was named Hannah. Well, Peninnah was able to produce children for Elkanah, but Hannah hasn't been able to. And in the society of Israel, you have to understand that was definitely something that they sometimes maybe considered a sign. Maybe God had cursed that woman, or it was kind of a source of shame for a woman back in that day. And so to make matters worse, Peninnah, the other wife of Elkanah, was rubbing it in Hannah's face. She was teasing her, and well, worse than teasing, she was almost torturing her, saying, I can have children and you can't, which was incredibly mean. And so we see that Elkanah goes to the city of Shiloh every year to offer sacrifices to God. He does that yearly, and he brings his whole family with him, both of his wives and, of course, his children. And it was at that point one year that Peninnah's torturing was too much for Hannah, and of course the shame, the guilt of maybe not being able to produce children had drove Hannah to feel overwhelmed. And so we saw in 1 Samuel chapter 1 verse 7 that she was weeping and she couldn't even eat. So she went to the temple there in Shiloh and she prayed to God and said that if God would remember her and that if God gave her a son, that she would give that son back to the Lord. And then notice that last part, no razor would come upon his head. What that basically means is that Hannah was giving God a Nazirite vow if she would have a son. And in other words, she would devote her son, she would allow her son to be a Nazirite or have her son become a Nazirite. And you have to understand, a Nazirite was set apart to devote their entire lives to serving God. So Hannah was literally saying, if you give me a child, Lord, and give me a son, I will give him right back to you. We see that in the Bible, in the first chapter of 1 Samuel there, that the high priest of the temple at that time, his name was Eli, he noticed Hannah praying and at the temple, and it being late at night, and he saw her kind of moving her mouth. He assumed that she was drunk, and so he actually scolded her and said, "Don't be drinking anymore and coming around here." But Hannah said in verse 15 of 1 Samuel 1, "No, my Lord, I am a woman of a sorrowful spirit. I have not drunk wine or strong drink, but have poured out my soul before the Lord." I thought that part is what caught my eye when I was doing my studies on this chapter. she poured out her soul before the Lord. And I was thinking about that. She did the right thing. When she had these sorrows, when she had these burdens, she took them to the Lord. She poured them out to her. And I have to ask, do we do that today? When we have a sorrow, when we have something that's really troubling us, some type of burden that we're carrying, are we going to the Lord and are we pouring ourselves out to Him? Are we telling Him about them? See, I think we need to follow Hannah's example. And for those of you that think that maybe God doesn't care about some of the things I'm going through or whatever the case may be, I don't know, maybe God has forgotten about me. Listen, God hasn't forgotten about you. He knows exactly where you are. He knows exactly what you're going through. One of my favorite preachers is a man by the name of Louis Giglio. He's the senior pastor of Passion City Church in Atlanta, and he said this, that God calls each and every star by name. It's not likely that He's forgotten yours. In other words, since God is the creator of the entire universe and He's named each and every star, if He knows the names of those stars, then He knows the name of you. He knows everything about you, including your struggles and your cares. And if you don't believe me, if you don't believe Louis, well, ask the Apostle Peter. He said in 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 7, that casting all your cares upon Him, because He, talking about God, cares for you. And so I'll just wrap up by saying this, that whatever you're going through, no matter how small it seems, no matter how big it seems, whatever it is that's troubling you, that's really weighing you down or worrying you, instead of sitting around and doing nothing about it, do something. And here's what you do. You just simply give it to the Lord. I'll give you a quick testimony and I'll wrap up. The last couple of days have been not great days for me. Nothing horribly life-changing or dramatic, but still some disappointing news that I've been getting over the last few days. And so I came into church last night, our Wednesday night prayer meeting, not feeling it. But I remember as they were singing, God was reminding me all the good that He had done for me. And I went down to the altar and I prayed and I thanked God and I asked Him to forgive me for my bad attitude. But He also said, I heard God tell me right then and there as I was thanking Him, He said, now that's great, you're thanking me, but those things that you're struggling with, that those are burdens, give them to me. And I did, and I felt that overwhelming peace, and the overwhelming peace that I'm sure Hannah felt too. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Be sure to come by Saturday so we can hang out and have some fun, and also come to Sunday school on Sunday morning. Until then, have a good night, guys. See you later.